Welcome back to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where astrology stops being a party trick and becomes a living language for understanding why we do what we do. I'm your longtime researcher and observer of both stars and human behavior, a mix of academic curiosity, street-level psychology, and just enough Buddhist patience to survive the chaos of modern life. Today we're talking to the boldest flame in the zodiac, Aries. The topic? Wealth, not the kind that jingles in your pocket, but the kind that reshapes your destiny. Between October 6 and 9, during the Year of Triumph 2025, the universe is setting coordinates that align perfectly with your fire. You can always tell when an Aries is about to rise. The air crackles differently. You start walking faster, talking louder, and for reasons you can't explain, coffee tastes like ambition. This week's swagger isn't ego, it's resonance. Mercury fine-tunes your focus while the waning moon cools the heat just enough for clarity to shine through. What's happening isn't luck, it's a cosmic invoice stamped payment due for every unseen effort you've invested when no one was watching. People love to call Aries impulsive. Fair, but so were every empire's founders before the history books cleaned them up. Your instinct isn't recklessness, it's intuition running at full speed. So today's reading is not a scavenger hunt for winning numbers. It's a decoding session for 6 frequencies of abundance, 6 spiritual algorithms that teach you to sustain wealth rather than chase it. Think of it as divine economics with a dash of humor, the universe as accountant, you as CEO, and destiny balancing the books. Aries, get ready to translate fire into fortune. As we open today's lesson on Zodiac Talks Tarot, let's talk plainly. Aries, if money had a pulse you could hear without a stethoscope, it would beat in the cadence of 6, steady as a drummer who knows the song better than the band, and the medicine you didn't know you needed shows up not as champagne confetti but as a quiet foreman with a checklist, a broom, and the keys to a better routine. In my decades watching charts and people, I've learned that the most underrated wealth move isn't the grand slam, it's the morning you finally stop tripping over yesterday's clutter, the afternoon you reconcile what went out with what came in, the evening you choose a nourishing meal over the I deserve chaos binge, because the vibration of 6 is the architecture of harmony, the honeycomb's geometry that proves sweetness requires structure. And astrologically this current flows through health, habit, and the daily craft that funds the dream rather than setting it on fire. Psychology agrees. Because money stories live in the body, tight jaw, clenched gut, shoulders that still think the roof will cave in, and many Aries were taught to equate love with labor and respect with exhaustion, which means the nervous system has been running a recession in the background even during your personal boom times. And the healing of 6 arrives with an unglamorous revelation: rest is not quitting, rest is refueling, the pit stop that wins the race, the oxygen mask that keeps the pilot wise at 30,000 feet. Buddhist ethics call this right livelihood, a reminder that profit that poisons your peace is just expensive suffering, and that the chosen ones of this season are not the loudest manifestors but the ones who can hold steady, breathe evenly, and make money without hemorrhaging their humanity. So tonight, place a hand on your chest, feel the rib cage rise like a small boat in a forgiving tide, and murmur a sentence practical enough to be actionable and tender enough to be believed: I allow income to arrive through love, skill, and balance, not panic or punishment. Watch how your pulse doesn't sprint for the exits, because the body recognizes a true order when it hears one. And that is 6 doing what it does, turning the house lights on so prosperity can find the doorbell. Now, once the floor is swept and the accounts start making eye contact with reality again, we meet 21, the number that delivers what I jokingly call the cosmic diploma. No ivy-covered ceremony, just the quiet click you feel when a lesson stops chasing you because you finally passed it. Numerology notes that 2 + 1 becomes 3. Creation in its most creative mood, but the sequence of 21 also carries Saturn's grown-up gravity with Jupiter's healthy optimism, the rare combination that says finish with integrity and then flourish with style. and for Aries who can win the sprint but gets bored with the cooldown, this code is the long exhale after the battle, the moment the armor comes off and you realize the war you kept preparing for has already ended. The scarcity myth, that tiresome background radio saying it could all vanish by Tuesday, loses its frequency when 21 arrives, because fear-driven hustle is just a hamster wheel in couture, and you, fire sign, were born for open roads, not circular tracks. From a clinical lens, closure is not erasure, it's digestion chewing experience until it becomes energy instead of ache, and the nervous system loves ritual because ritual finishes what rumination never does. So write a letter to the previous version of you, the one who said yes to unglamorous shifts, who learned to negotiate, who stayed ethical even when cutting corners looked fashionable, and thank them for carrying the load. You don't even need to mail it, but if it's safe to do so, burn that note and watch the smoke lift like a curtain call, because your body understands what your brain sometimes forgets. The scene has ended, the lesson is archived, and you don't need to re-audition for a part you already played. Sleep after that will feel different. Lug. Number 14, in the long dance of symbols and sound, is the engineer in the orchestra, the quiet hand behind the music. It doesn't perform center stage, it builds the stage itself. The number 1 sets the spark of intention, the initial I will. The 4 follows behind like an architect with blueprints, pouring the foundation so inspiration doesn't collapse under its own excitement. Together they create courage that can be measured, not just felt. In practical life, this vibration often enters disguised as disruption, the project that suddenly demands a new boundary, the bill that finally closes out a lingering debt, the unexpected email that reroutes your attention to where it actually belongs. Aries, you are a fire sign, so when life rearranges the furniture, your instinct is to grab a hammer instead of a map. But what if chaos isn't punishment? What if it's simply the scaffolding shifting to fit your next design? The universe isn't burning your blueprint, it's updating it. Physically, the number 14 speaks not to the head, which Aries already rules with stubborn glory, but to the gut, the solar plexus, that golden engine of willpower that whispers I can. If your stomach has been tight lately, that's not your diet rebelling, it's truth fermenting, waiting for release. The mind rationalizes, but the gut keeps score. Place your hand there and say, I release what I no longer need. It sounds embarrassingly simple, something you might roll your eyes at, but modern neuroscience backs the magic. Words are blueprints for neural pathways. Speak them often enough, and your brain rewires the building code of belief. The subconscious isn't a philosopher, it's an eager intern. It takes direction without irony. Tell it what you want clearly, and it starts rearranging the furniture of your behavior before you even realize it. Spiritually, 14 is the karmic custodian, the janitor of destiny who reminds us that freedom doesn't survive on rebellion alone. You can't live in perpetual revolution and still expect peace. Even miracles need calendars. Every chosen one eventually learns that wildness without order is just noise, and the truest power is the kind that wakes up early, keeps its promises, and knows when to rest. So yes, set fire to what's false, but also take notes while it burns. Then, like a sunrise after a long night, enters the number 30, the alchemist of gratitude. If 14 was reconstruction, 30 is revelation. 3 is your voice, your expression, your look what I built. 0 is the infinite backdrop amplifying whatever stands beside it. Together, they turn creation into communion. After all the fire, 30 is your morning coffee, the one you finally drink sitting down. In psychology, gratitude is the cheapest and most effective antidepressant known to humankind. The Buddhists would nod and call it the perfume of enlightenment. Aries, you might call it the one spiritual practice you forget every time your Wi-Fi lags. Yet the science is stubborn. Name 3 things you genuinely appreciate every night and your brain starts to shift its algorithms. training itself to notice stability instead of scanning for danger. Opportunity loves that kind of mind. It starts showing up like a friend who finally found your new address. Energetically, 30 carries benefactor energy. It opens doors through human connection. A mentor returns your call, an investor finally gets it, a stranger introduces you to exactly the right collaborator. Gratitude changes your aura's advertisement from in need to in readiness. Even the universe prefers confident clients. So, write the number 30 next to tomorrow's to-do list. Let each task become a small altar rather than a punishment. You're not grinding anymore, you're cultivating. There's a difference between chasing and attracting, and gratitude draws in with the same elegance that silence draws truth. And let's be honest, Aries loves an audience. Gratitude makes the cosmos your front row. Every coincidence becomes applause. The more you say thank you, the louder the encore gets. This isn't some sentimental exercise, it's energy physics with better manners. When you honor what you have, you prove to life you can handle more. The wealthy of spirit never look frantic, they look focused. So before you crash into the next challenge, pause. Remember the bills that got paid, the body that still fights for you, the friend who answers on the first ring. Those are not background details, they are proof of flow. In the end, 14 and 30 work together like blueprints and sunlight. One rebuilds, the other blesses. Power reconstructed becomes power refined, and gratitude seals it. Aries, if you can balance the fire of ambition with the warmth of appreciation, you'll discover that prosperity isn't earned, it's remembered. The world doesn't owe you fortune, it mirrors your frequency. And the moment you say thank you with conviction, the reflection smiles back, already richer than you thought possible. Number 39 is what happens when an idea stops pacing the hallway and finally kicks open the door. In numerology, 3 births the vision, 9 completes the story, and together they form the energy of momentum wearing wisdom's jacket, forward motion that actually knows where it's going. Every Aries has spent time trapped in the limbo between almost ready and just terrified, but the vibration of 39 doesn't tolerate paralysis disguised as preparation. It whispers or sometimes shouts, stop rehearsing courage and start performing it. Maybe you've been plotting a relocation, a new venture, or that long-delayed creative risk. The cosmos isn't waiting for your PowerPoint slides, it's waiting for your first move. Astrologically, this number hums in perfect sync with Mars, your fiery ruler, shaking hands with Neptune's intuition. Translation: instinct plus imagination equals liberation. It's the cosmic recipe for bold but meaningful leaps. And if you want a movie version, picture yourself as the lead in The Chosen Ones, The Year of Triumph 2025. The soundtrack swells, the camera pans to a closed door, and instead of waiting for fate to deliver a key, you kick the thing open and declare, I am the key. That's 39 energy, less permission slip, more open highway. On the physical level, this number lives in your muscles. It asks you to move, stretch, lift, dance, walk, anything that convinces your subconscious that you are not trapped. The universe, like any good coach, responds to verbs. Every small action says, I'm participating in my miracle. So when opportunity knocks, don't let the inner committee of worry convene to debate logistics. Say yes first, details are loyal, they always catch up to momentum. Then comes number 50, the natural sequel and crown to all that motion. If 39 is ignition, 50 is coronation. It's not the energy of conquest but of composure, the kind of power that doesn't need to shout because everyone can already feel it. Numerologically, 5 represents freedom and 0 magnifies whatever it touches, meaning this is liberation matured into leadership. Astrologically, it's Jupiter's grand expansion harmonizing with Saturn's structure, a marriage of confidence and discipline. Around this vibration, contracts close, decisions solidify, and clarity hits like thunder. This is my lane, this is my calling, this is mine to build. For some Aries, it's literal signing the deed, finalizing the partnership, launching the business. For others, it's internal, a sudden peace that feels suspiciously like success. 50 also governs posture, the spiritual kind. It's the stance of someone who no longer asks for permission to shine. Stand as if your ancestors wrote the stock market algorithm and then left you the patent. That's not arrogance, it's acknowledgement. To ground this frequency, trace the number 50 on the solace of your shoes before you step out. Each stride becomes a declaration, I walk in purpose. And if you like visual anchors, wear the shades that mirror its code: royal purple for authority, teal for truth, gold for realized abundance. These aren't superstitions, they're daily affirmations stitched into fabric. From a Buddhist lens, 50 represents mastery after detachment, the stage where the bodhisattva doesn't chase gold because gold naturally circles back to calm. This is the paradox Aries must learn: when you stop trying to prove worth, you start to embody it. You become the monk in a tailored blazer, the warrior who can meditate before battle and still close the deal afterward. Humor helps. Think of yourself as the enlightened CEO who schedules board meetings with the universe but insists they include a lunch break for mindfulness. Together, 39 and 50 complete a cycle of fire and form. One liberates through motion, the other stabilizes through self-trust. It's a reminder that freedom without focus is waste, and focus without freedom is a cage. The Aries journey is to master both the audacity to begin and the authority to sustain. When you claim these numbers, you're not invoking luck, you're activating leadership. You stop chasing destiny and start managing it. And that, more than any horoscope, is the real definition of wealth: motion guided by meaning, power expressed as peace, the art of moving forward without losing yourself along the way. When viewed together, these 6 numbers form not a superstition but a system, a map of the hero's financial evolution, charting the road from survival instinct to soulful affluence. Each number, like a stage in development, refines a different part of the psyche. 6 heals what's raw. 21 closes what's outdated. 14 builds what's sturdy. 30 thanks what sustains. 39 moves what's stagnant. 50 leads what's ready. The beauty of this sequence is that it mirrors real human growth, not fantasy. It begins with self-regulation and ends with self-direction, the 2 poles of all mature power. These aren't lottery codes, they're coordinates for behavior. When you live them rather than recite them, wealth stops being a chase scene and becomes a byproduct of alignment. I tell my students that even astrology, for all its symbols and mystique, is ultimately behavioral science wrapped in myth. You don't attract abundance by wishing on stars, you earn it by syncing your actions with cosmic timing. For the data-driven Aries who still checks spreadsheets more often than horoscopes, let's translate metaphysics into management. 6 equals resetting your nervous system because burnout can't build empires. 21 equals updating the narrative, replacing scarcity scripts with newer, cleaner code. 14 equals setting boundaries, protecting energy the way accountants protect assets. 30 equals activating the gratitude loop, converting anxiety into appreciation, which the brain mistakes for safety. 39 equals initiating the experiment, testing boldness in real time, because perfectionism is just procrastination in better shoes. And 50 equals optimizing the leadership protocol, learning that power without wisdom is just noise. Congratulations, Aries, you've just turned enlightenment into an Excel formula. Somewhere an angel just high-fived a spreadsheet, whispering, finally, someone made karma quantifiable. Psychologically, here's why this all works. The human mind loves patterns. It interprets repetition as prophecy. When we assign sacred meaning to a set of numbers, we're essentially installing 6 new behavioral loops into the subconscious. The brain doesn't care whether you call it mysticism or neuroscience, it just follows the rhythm of rehearsal. If you repeat gratitude, your neurons rewire towards stability. If you repeat worry, they fortify fear. You've been conditioning anxiety for years, it's time to condition freedom. Every time you spot a 6 or 21 on a receipt, treat it as the universe winking, you're on schedule. The so-called wealth portal isn't a cosmic elevator that opens once a year, it's the moment you realize you already have footing, that your needs are being met even as you expand. The Buddha phrased it elegantly centuries ago, what you think, you become, what you hold, holds you. Or, to translate through a modern Aries lens, stop clutching panic like it's a limited edition collectible. Let it go before it depreciates in value. From an astrological standpoint, the cosmic weather between October 6 and 9, 2025, supports this evolution perfectly. Mercury trines Jupiter, meaning intellect aligns with opportunity, while the waning moon passes through your house of value, an invitation to review, recalibrate, and renew. This is not about buying crystals or chanting under an expensive lamp, it's about intentional housekeeping. Audit your budgets, pitch your ideas, tidy the inbox, update your resume. When the intention is clear, even the mundane becomes mystical. The alignment of Mars, your ruler, with Neptune adds the secret ingredient. Imagination becomes profitable. Artists get commissions, entrepreneurs download business blueprints mid-dream, and even the skeptical feel a strange uptick of optimism. Just be mindful not to overspend on scented candles. Manifestation is a mental practice, not a home goods clearance event. Now, before Aries starts rolling its collective eyes at too much philosophy, a humor break is mandatory. Imagine the universe as your overly sassy gym trainer. You walk in declaring, "I want ABS of abundance." The trainer smiles and hands you dumbbells labeled patience and consistency. You groan, "No, I meant shortcuts." The trainer shrugs, "Sweetheart, even miracles need reps." That's the cosmic joke. There's no express lane to embodiment. Every frequency worth mastering requires repetition. Humor, fortunately, is spiritual cardio. It keeps your heart open while your ego breaks a sweat. So laugh between the sets. Smile when progress feels slow. Remember that enlightenment, much like fitness, isn't achieved by one dramatic session but through daily, imperfect practice. Ultimately, these 6 numbers aren't predictions, they're invitations. They describe a sequence of psychological upgrades that mirror the soul's evolution. First you heal the body so your spirit can stay. Then you close the old loops that drain energy. Next you build the structure that holds prosperity. You give thanks for what arrives. You move when opportunity calls. And finally, you lead not from arrogance but from alignment. That's the entire curriculum of abundance condensed into 6 lessons, elegant enough for mystics, practical enough for scientists, and just humorous enough for an Aries to stay interested. In short, the secret to wealth isn't luck, it's literacy, the ability to read the symbols written in your own behavior and to act on them before the universe needs to send another reminder. Integration, when done correctly, is never a list of chores, it's choreography between spirit and structure. To live by the 6 codes is to turn ordinary moments into quiet ceremonies that remind you wealth begins long before the money arrives. Start each morning with the energy of 6. Drink warm water, not because it's trendy but because your nervous system reads warmth as safety. Take 3 full breaths and tell yourself, ease is allowed. Aries, that may be the hardest sentence you'll ever say with sincerity. But trust me, it's the foundation of every empire. Permission to exist without sprinting. Around midday, when the to-do list starts performing acrobatics, call in 14. This is the energy of practicality, of scaffolding. Do one task that secures your base, answer that email, organize the receipts that have been multiplying like gremlins. Wealth favors those who respect maintenance. At evening, invoke 30, the vibration of gratitude. List 3 things you appreciate, serious or absurd. My Wi-Fi worked is perfectly legitimate. Humor is a doorway to grace, it keeps gratitude from sounding like homework. By night, surrender to 21. Write a few lines to the day, forgive whatever snagged your mood, and let the sun set inside you before it does outside. Weekends belong to 39, the rhythm of movement. Walk, stretch, dance, rearrange furniture, or chase the idea that's been tapping its foot in your imagination. Motion tells the subconscious, we're not stuck. It's both therapy and rebellion. Whenever doubt sneaks back in, and it will, because you're human, stand tall in the frequency of 50. Straighten your spine, lift your chin, and whisper, I am aligned. Posture is prayer in disguise. Repeat this entire ritual for 9 days, and you'll notice synchronicities multiplying like rabbits on espresso. Emails arrive at the right hour, doors open before you knock, and people who once dismissed you start asking for advice. That's not magic, it's resonance. Now, about this label chosen ones. Let's clear up a common misconception. It doesn't mean you're cosmically spoiled or the Zodiac's teacher's pet. It means you're cosmically responsible. The chosen ones aren't selected for comfort, they're selected for endurance. They're the people who, when life hits the snooze button, still get up. You, Aries, are one of them. Not because the universe owes you a medal, but because you volunteered for the advanced course. Every zodiac sign faces challenges, but you start on expert mode. The trade-off is that your victories echo farther. In the year of triumph 2025, your fire becomes an example. You show others that courage can coexist with compassion, that discipline can be spiritual, and that success doesn't have to come at the expense of integrity. You prove that laughter and enlightenment can sit at the same dinner table. And when the wealth does begin to flow, and it will, use it like a seasoned warrior. Not to hoard, but to build, protect, and uplift. Money is just energy with a mailing address. The wealth portal isn't an invitation to greed, it's a test of stewardship. The universe isn't auditing your bank balance, it's measuring your backbone. Can you stay generous when you win? Can you keep humor when pressure climbs? Those are the real qualifications of abundance. As we close this journey, take one long, deliberate breath. Picture the 6 numbers 6, 21, 14, 30, 39, and 50 circling you like satellites, each one tuned to a specific note of your personal symphony. They're not floating off into the void, they're syncing with your pulse, merging belief and biology. This alignment isn't superstition, it's neurospiritual physics. What you think becomes how you act, and how you act shapes what returns to you. When skepticism mutters, maybe this is just coincidence, smile like a researcher watching an experiment confirm the hypothesis. Coincidence is the universe showing you its math homework. Remember this above all, you were never meant to chase miracles. You came to embody them. You were built for impact, not imitation. So step into this week with the same audacity that got you placed first in the Zodiac lineup. Fire in your eyes, humor in your pocket, gratitude in your gut. The portal isn't up in the clouds, it's under your feet, disguised as everyday choices. When people ask what changed, tell them the truth. I stopped waiting for luck. I started acting like alignment. This is your wealth era, Aries. The year of triumph 2025 is your field, and you're not just playing, you're leading the game. Now go live like the story was written for you, because it was. Enjoy the warmth of your victories, the peace of your pauses, and the laughter that keeps your fire human. And before you head out to meet that next adventure, do me a favor, like this message if it lit something in you, share it with another fire starter who needs the spark, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot so you never miss the next constellation of insight. You've earned this moment. Now go write your legend one aligned breath, one conscious choice, 6 numbers at a time.